How can I turn my now partner into a pleaser like my ex? I'm lazy and don't like the work. I love this question so much, and so I will definitely find a way to add this to my Pleasure Academy. So thank you for this. But in the meantime, just thinking about it, like my initial thought that came up, and don't forget, I'm no expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm learning. Literally, I have a series called Learning with Love on my podcast where we learn together about like sex and pleasure and things like that. So we're all learning together. And I think it's hard to say that you're an expert in anything because things are always forever expanding, but that's a different vent for a different time. So I probably need a little bit more clarity. But when you say a pleaser, are they not already a pleaser? Because to me, yes, you do have to teach people sometimes, specifically if they are of the male essence, that first of all, your pleasure matters, and what can bring you pleasure, because there is a lot. Just like we have to unlearn, male partners also have to unlearn as well. So do your female partners, so do your non-binary partners. Like we're just all unlearning out here. But I think that if their intention is to please you, then the main thing that can help change that would be a conversation. And if they're into being a pleaser but don't necessarily care to be pleased because, like you mentioned, you're lazy and don't like to work, then that's a symbiotic relationship you need to make sure that you both have, meaning that they don't mind that you like to be pleased and don't necessarily like to be the pleaser. It's so hard, it's a little bit hard to ask to have a pleaser and not be a pleaser, but at the same time, there's a space for that. It exists. You can have whatever combination you want to have when it comes to your pleasure. So if you don't feel like doing anything and you just want to be pleased, you can totally find that and have that, and you are deserving of that. But in the world of like quid pro quo, which could be my own thing that I have to work through. Maybe I have to work through feeling like we always have to provide each other pleasure. It is actually, you know what, look, we just learned together. I have to get out of the feeling of thinking that we both equally have to please each other. I just think that being on the end that normally didn't get the pleasure, I feel like we both deserve to feel pleasure. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe in certain situations you can feel all the pleasure, in certain situations they can feel all the pleasure, or maybe they don't ever want to feel pleasure. Maybe they get pleasure from watching you feel pleasure. There are people like that out there too. I'm like that. Like I like watching my partner feel pleasure because that gives me pleasure and I don't even gotta do the work. Side note, Mutual M is really good for this as well because it can help them kind of take their pleasure into their own hands, and you take your pleasure into your own hands, literally. So if you don't know what Mutual is, I will put this video in the playlist for that. But for more information like this and to learn more, feel free to check out my podcast, but also sign up for my Pleasure Academy. If you go to my website, loveatia.com, I have a sign up where you can know when the Pleasure Academy launches, because we'll be having more conversations like this with other people in the field, not just me, people that might have experience and things that I've never experienced before. So stay tuned for that. I love you. Thank you.